Hey, welcome everyone to another season of Gran Turismo we are racing in Willow Springs today. So this is the car that I purchased recently, the Red Bull X 2019 competition. And the reason for me choosing this track was the fact that it is very challenging. As you could see, we are kicking up a lot of dirt and dust around here. The track is basically, it looks like it is built within a desert. So it's all dry around and there is a clean sheet of asphalt in between. And so it presents its own challenges. So you don't have a lot of road to work with for starts. And if you make the slightest mistake and end up in the dirt, and you would be seeing me doing that a couple of times during this race. It's a pretty long one. So that could be very challenging for your lap times because the difficulty has been set to professional, and that means that the AI would be very fast and very cutthroat and very aggressive while blocking you from an overtake. So the only way you could gain an edge on your opponent is to use your brakes as wisely as possible. Scrape as little speed as you could, in the corners. Because if you have your foot completely on the throttle while you're cornering at a certain angle, if your wheel spin is greater than the bank of that angle, then you're going to get a wheel spin, and wheel spin is not helping anyone in particular. Because you're not gaining any speed here, and at the same time you're basically spinning where you are. You're covering less mileage as you would if you didn't have the wheel spin. So and it gives your opponent an advantage. So as you could see here, there will be this is what I'm talking about. So I'll be going over the dirt for a couple of times in this race, and for understandable reasons the AI is very cutthroat, and at some points you don't have a lot of room while you're overtaking your opponent. You're right on the edge of the track and right next to the dirt. A little mistake here and there and you could end up completely on the dirt, and well, that is not helping anyone here. So the scenery that we have is a very beautiful one. It's clear, and there is so much detail and texturing. The scenery itself is good, so that adds a lot of visual excitement for this race. So the race that I've selected is basically a race where I start right from dead last, and the difficulty is set to professional, and as you could see, I did that the second time. So this presents a unique challenge. Easier things that are part of the race is that you don't have to refuel and you don't have to change your tires, which will be costing you a lot of valuable time, and if and that is turned to off. I believe the race did not have that feature, but what it does have is the tough opponent. So you could go for intermediate, but you get a lot less credits than you would if you were on the hards, or would you say professional. So I've set that to the absolute best, to try and see if I could come on the pole. And you would see very soon if I have reached my reached the thing that I've set myself for. So the track itself is very technical. There are parts of the track where there is a lot of elevation, and there are parts like these where it's a stretch, and if you could get a nice enough slipstream and scrape little speed in the corners, you could basically get an advantage over the opponent, and the next time you're going to overtake them is when you're on the main straight, the straight from which we all started this race. So I am trying my best to get a slipstream over the opponents in front of me. So that is the only way of overtaking them, and finding the right angles while cornering so that I scrape as little speed as possible. And basically there is a human component involved. Even the AI would be hitting the corners at a predetermined speed, and we are basically not bound by that limitation. So we can get a feel for the track when we are cornering. So you would know that you're hitting the right banking angle, and you're scraping less speed, and you would also know it. Holy shit, that's fast. So you would also get to know if you're losing speed, for example. So you need to correct yourself on the fly, and try not to make that mistake again. So the camera angles in Gran Turismo is just amazing. I am also a big fan of Formula 1, and as you could see in my videos, you would see a lot of Formula 1 videos alongside the GT ones. So Formula 1 racetracks are quite different from what these tracks are built for. I would say that you could race a Formula 1 car here if it is graded, and this would present a unique challenge in the fact that there is so much dirt all along the track that if your vehicle is going to bank on any of that dirt, it's going to get stuck, and taking it out is going to take an awful long, lot of time, and you don't have a lot of stadiums around here. So, well, a couple of things that need to be put around, but if that is in place, well, the race would be absolutely amazing. And the views are just mind-blowing. So I have gained quite a number of places in the initial laps, because you have the slipstream, and all the opponents are back, bumper to bumper. So you get many chances, but as the time passes by, the opponents in the front will gain some distance from you, and you would end up making some mistakes, and you can see that I did make a couple of mistakes. Just right now I did one. So all that is going to allow the guys in the front to get even further, and that's going to create a big time gap, and you have to cover all of it, and you have to get in the front. So that's going to be a big time challenge, and I would say that the maximum time that I spent overtaking anyone on this race is the guy in the first. He was one tough cookie. So up until now, I believe there are around 5 or 7 cars. So I'll be gradually trying to chase them down. But at the later point in the race, I would get to race against the guy at the first here. And I'm pretty sure that the AI would be designed in such a way that as you progressively get farther ahead of the grid, the AI would make life a little more difficult for you. So that's exactly what's happening here, and I could feel that the AI is becoming aggressive bit by bit. It's allowing me less overtake moments. In the corners, it's actively trying to weave around. So weaving around is something that's banned in Formula 1. You get a black and white, black and white flag when you do it the first time. Reason behind weaving not being allowed in Formula 1 or any other form of race is the fact that these cars are doing a lot of speed, and the reaction times that you need to correct yourself if your opponent is suddenly turning to your left when he should be turning right. It would take an incremental amount of brain power to judge that and get out of the way just in time, so that you and your opponent don't crash into each other. So this is the reason why weaving is banned from the race, but not sure why GT does not have that, because the opponent was actively weaving at one point in time. You would get to see that later. Let us see where we are at this race. So we are basically halfway through the race, and I have crossed quite a number of opponents. and it would be easy enough. At some point, I would cross them very quickly, but trying to get past that last opponent was a big pain in the ass, honestly. The camera angles on this thing is very nice. So we have the next installation of Gran Turismo, which is GT7. But I've heard a lot of mixed reviews for that one, so not really sure whether I want to buy that or not, because there is F1 2022 coming, and that is going to be that is actually going to have a preview of the Las Vegas track. So Las Vegas is the latest place that Formula One has agreed to race once again. Oh yeah, I was absolutely all over the place in that one. So we Formula One used to race in Las Vegas, but that was in the, I believe, 1970s and 80s. That track used to be very famous. So basically that's a track right at the outskirts of the Vegas city, so you'll get a very nice view of all the casinos and the high life, as you would say. You could get a very beautiful glimpse of that, and obviously being the party capital, being the Sin City, Las Vegas is famous for a lot of things, many negative than positive. People end up screwing up, wasting all of their hard-earned money in an effort to win a gamble. So anyways, the place itself holds a lot of interest to a lot of people, because gambling is something that we all want to do, but some of us don't do it because we know it's not the right thing and it's going to screw you up. But still, I heard a lot of Formula One racers say that they would definitely be visiting the party strip and playing a little bit of roulette, what do you call it, Russian roulette. So again, those guys have much to spend, and it's their fucking decision, so not for me to judge. And this is one overtake that I tried to make, but as you could see, the AI here was very aggressive. It actively pushed me off, and you would say I had to play with the dirt a little bit before I got on the asphalt. It's bright and sunny, and the camera angles make it look all the more beautiful. And I absolutely love the background music that's going on here. It's kind of a old country music. And see, the AI again pushed me off. So now I'm in the 4th position, if I'm not mistaken. I think I am, yes. So I am 4th, and I would be passing the 2 in front of me very quickly, but last opponent was one tough cookie to crack. Alright, see, so I've made made my share of mistakes, and at one point I've also doubted whether I'm really going to win this race, get to the pole position. So you would get to know very quickly, because I don't know, when you push yourself too much, you make mistakes, and making mistakes is not part of the game. It is not acceptable. So, and I'm using Thrustmaster P150 steering wheel here. So I bought this thing like a year ago, and didn't manage to figure out how I'm going to drive my Formula One car on this. Because Formula One does offer you a couple of settings for the steering wheel, and it also tells in its manual that you can have a 180 degree wheel turn. So basically the one that I have has a 360 degree wheel turn. So 2 turns of the steering wheel to the left or the right, basically 2 complete turns. So if you want to race in a Formula One car, your steering has to be precise and at the same time fast. So a 360 degree wheel turn doesn't work for Formula 1. I would say the racers themselves have a 180 degree where they turn it like completely and your hands are crossed. So I put that on 180, but again I thought that I'm having to turn the wheel around a lot. When you get around to the corners, and there are a lot of tight corners in Formula 1. Let's say in Monaco. So you're very precise, and there is one turn where you have to do a complete 180 in a very short space. So you don't have a lot to work with. So during those things, I came across a manual that said that braking also really matters. The precise way in which you'll brake will allow you to complete a corner without any headaches. Like the ones in Monaco. So for now I have parked that plan. There's a brake pedal set that Thrustmaster offers that can be used with a variety of steering wheels. The T3PA. So they're basically very well built and solid metal constructed pedals, and very very heavy. The brake pedal in particular has a lot of down resistance. So the one that I have can be easily pressed down and lifted up. But in those brakes you'll really have to push a lot harder to get the braking done right, and that will actually give you a real feel for the race, because in the real race the drivers do put a lot of force on the brake pedal in order to stop the vehicle. So Formula 1 drivers regularly brake, put the brakes on a pressure of around 140 bar. As normal human beings like you and me, we would not be even able to do a 40, let alone 100. So these guys are the most extreme fittest people on the planet. The 20 most fittest people, if I could put it that way. So right now I believe I am in the second. So now you would get to see why I was saying that the AI is so cutthroat on this thing. We do not have a lot of racing to do. Yep. So this is me trying to overtake and going all over. But I am still pushing to my absolute best, as you would see. Opponent is just about doing everything he can to keep me behind him. Trust me. At one point I was getting so frustrated, like, come on guy, why don't you let me pass? It's not going to cost you anything. But at least it would give me a satisfaction of winning. But again, the AI was like, hey, screw you man, I am going to be there and you're going to be behind me. So let's see. I literally launched off into the air like I did a couple of laps back, and all this was creating a gap between me and my opponent and frustrating me even more. I'm pushing the car to the absolute best, trying not to make the mistakes that I have made in the previous laps. But I do not have a lot of time. I think so I think I will have 2 more laps left before the race is over. So basically I tried not to be in the dirt at any point in the race for the rest of the laps. As you would see, I'm being very cautious with my brakes, and we are right alongside each other. Again, the opponent pushed me off. So I was like, alright, let's slip train behind this guy and get this done. As you would see, I'm closely following the line that my opponent is following. And now I make that move and I overtake him. So this is the final lap that we are on. And once you're ahead of your opponent, it makes life a lot more easier for you, because you do not have any dirty air coming behind. You're not losing any downforce at any point. You have all the air that you want in front of you. So that basically gives you a speed advantage, and as you would see, I built quite a bit of distance between myself and my opponent. So this is the advantage of being in the front. But again, alright, and this is the race over. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.